Kamaru Usman. Kamaru Usman.
Let's take a look. Boom. Perfect. Catches the kick. The problem with that is, oh my
Beautiful.
God. You gotta be kidding me.
Beautiful. That's a taekwondo move all day.
Yes.
Foot on the body pad.
Boom.
Back
Jump
to the
through
face. Very slick.
I mean,
Get ready for a lot of that this week. Oh, what's up, ladies and fish? Ladies and gyroscopes? Welcome to the DynamiteGizmo Podcast, everyone. Episode 254. Episode 254. We're getting ready to store the snores, my friends. And remember the old saying, here's today's card. It's tradition around here to show you the card, but it's not tradition to show you what's on the card, but you'll find out anyway, because why? Because Grandma's going to talk about it. I have had a sunburn. You know this if you watched the previous few episodes. I don't really want to show it. It's hard to see, but I've got dead skin flakes everywhere. There are dead skin flakes everywhere I go, everywhere I prance, everything I do. A little flake of skin just floats around everywhere.
I don't think that's actually Ian's son. I don't like Eminem. I don't think that's actually Ian's son.
It's hard. I don't use a lot of soundboard fucking clips anymore. I don't use a lot of them. But that's okay. Today we're going to talk about Bellator champs coming into the UFC, and then we're going to talk about Kevin Holland loving to make money and not worried about the belt, and then we're going to end today's episode off by talking about Kamaru Usman and Joaquin Buckley. And that's all we've got in store for today, ladies and girls. But I think we'll just go ahead and jump right into the first segment, shall we? What's the point of waiting? Let's just get right into it. Bellator champs. Huh? We've seen a lot of them come in lately, but it doesn't mean anything. Being a Bellator champ doesn't mean anything when you come into the UFC. It makes sense why you'd all get excited about Patchy Mix coming into the UFC, and I was one of the people who was excited to see Patchy Mix come into the UFC. Of course, look at what he's done. Coming off an 8-fight win streak, and his last 3 fights in Bellator were all title matches, and they were all wins. Okay? It's Patchy fucking Mix. Patrick Mix-a-Lot. Patricio Pitbull, Patrick Mix. What's with the Patchies? The Apache tribe is coming into the UFC to try to stop everyone, but they're failing immediately. They're not even getting close to winning. We keep seeing the same thing over and over again. A dominant fighter from another organization makes their way into the UFC, and we expect nothing less than absolute fucking domination. We hype them up, thinking they're going to come in and take over every single time. And what ends up happening? Another debut loss. Another one. And not just a close decision loss. No. It's a straight up, clear cut, nobody's business, how you doing, how's your mother, loss. Now, Brendan Schaub tweeted something on the night of UFC 316 that perfectly captures this cycle. Let's take a look at his tweet, shall we? He said, "I don't know who needs to hear this, but having success in other fighting organizations doesn't mean shit unless it's in the UFC. Example, the MVP of the CFL doesn't think he's going to dominate in the NFL. And now I couldn't agree more with what the Schaubinator has to say here. Now I know what you're thinking as well. Brendan Schaub isn't an authority on the UFC. He's just a washed-up comedian who thinks he knows it all. Blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah. I know, dude. I know. I get it, all right? I get it. I'm not usually the first to take notes from Brendan Schaub, but I'll admit, sometimes he does hit the nail on the head. Now, I'm not one of those guys who's completely dismissive towards Brendan Schaub. I actually kind of like the guy. Okay? Most people hate him, and I understand why. But I also don't understand why. Give him a chance, dude. All right, hear him out. But when it comes to this point, he's actually right. He's actually right. And you know what? He is, whatever. There's this common misconception in MMA that just because someone is a legend in another promotion, that they're automatically going to shine in the UFC. And again, I was one of the ones who felt this way. But we've seen time and time again that this just isn't the case. Now, don't get me wrong, there are some exceptions, okay? You've got MVP, Michael Venom Page, for example. Okay, he came in, he won his debut fight against Kevin Holland, which is a solid debut. But for the most part, we see the same pattern. Pitbull got Yair. Patchy got Batista. Okay? And even though MVP did shine in his debut, his next fight was a loss. These guys are treated like veterans. Okay? They get ranked opponents immediately, right off the bat, coming out of Bellator. But the truth is, having multiple title defenses in other promotions doesn't mean a thing when you step into the UFC. It really doesn't. And you wouldn't think that unless you actually witnessed it, which is what we have done this year, twice. But here's what is good about this. It proves that the UFC truly is the best in the world. Okay? We have these moments. We say, hey, look, he's good in PFL. He's good in Bellator. Let's just immediately put him with this fucking killer. See what happens. You can't just show up and expect to fit in with the big dogs right away. A few guys might make it, but the majority of them get humbled hard. All right? Now, we've even got Aaron Pico coming over from Bellator. He's the next in line. All right? And he's making his debut on July 26th against, guess who? Movsar Evelev. Huh? Who's ranked number 4 in the featherweight division and seen by most as the next in line for the title. But we know that's probably not going to happen. We know that Yair's getting special treatment. But if it wasn't for Yair and UFC Noche, everyone can solidly agree that Movsar is the one who should get that shot at the title. But no, he's getting Aaron Pico. Okay? Now, if we look at Pico, he has only lost 4 of his 16 fights in Bellator and won his last 2 in the PFL before leaving. Now, normally, this would seem like a no-brainer, right? But it's not that simple, especially when you're up against someone like Movsar. It's the same thing we dealt with Patchy Mix, okay? Evelev is 19-0 with 9 wins in the UFC, including victories over guys like Aljamain Sterling, Arnold Allen, Diego Lopez, and Dan Ige. Okay? This is a tougher debut than what Pitbull and Patchy had to face. Okay? Patchy and Pitbull didn't have near to the extent of the level of degree that Aaron Pico has coming into this. They had it easy compared to Pico. So imagine what Pico is going to do. Imagine how Pico is going to debut in the UFC. What's going to happen to him? Is he going to get absolutely destroyed? But it's not just about the level of competition, okay? It's the UFC itself, okay? It's just the fact that it's the UFC itself that creates a different kind of challenge. Okay, aside from just the absolute killers, the absolute dominance, the pure fucking athletic fucking skill, aside from all that, the best in the world we know is in the UFC. It's the UFC itself that also makes a difference on these Bellator guys that come in. Okay? It's what they call the UFC jitters, and I'm sure you've heard this term before. People have talked about it, or maybe you haven't heard about it. But let's talk about it right now. It doesn't matter who you are, where you come from, or what you've accomplished. Your first time stepping into the UFC, specifically the UFC Octagon, on a sold-out main event in a huge fucking stadium, is unlike anything you've experienced in any other promotion. Nobody has that large of an audience, that much pressure as the UFC. It's real. The pressure is real. It's nerve-wracking. It's a completely different level than anything Bellator or PFL or any other organization can offer. And don't just take my word for it, because obviously I haven't actually experienced this. I'm talking from what other people have said who have experienced this. And more specifically, Patchy Mix himself confirmed this, according to Ariel Helwani. And if we take a look at the screen now, it says, Patchy Mix says that fighting in front of a few thousand more fans than he was used to affected his performance and contributed to his loss. All right? That's it. There it is. The UFC jitters. Okay? It's a real thing. They all talk about it. And the good thing is when you come up into the UFC, not having been dominant in another promotion, you get to slowly dip your feet into the water and creep your way up into the point where you can become used to the UFC and the environment in which it surrounds you in. But Patchy Mix, main card on a main pay-per-view, big time, right away, soppity boopy. Okay? It's real. And it probably won't be the last time we see it happen. Unless the UFC decides to stop giving killers to the newcomers right out of the gate. Now the thing is, if Aaron Pico comes in and changes everything, if he comes in and has a win, but it can't just be a win, it has to be a dominant win. It can't be one of those wins where these guys go to decision and it was a super close matchup. In order for this curse to break, Aaron Pico has to absolutely fucking annihilate. So we'll see if that happens. Get your graham crackers, get your marshmallows, get your chocolate, and go to a campfire. I'm going camping this weekend. And I didn't realize that I chose this weekend. And this is the weekend that Kamaru Usman is fighting Joaquin Buckley. And there's a lot of other good fights on this card. So luckily there is somewhat of a cell phone connection, so I'm going to try my damnedest to watch it. Or at least some of the fights while I'm camping. It'll be interesting. It'll be kind of cool. Imagine sitting around the campfire watching UFC. I hope it works, dude. It might, I don't know, depends on the, whatever. Moving on to the next topic of discussion. Kevin Holland, my friend. Kevin Holland. He cannot get the belt, but guess what? He doesn't need it, nor does he even want it. Going into UFC 316, I voted against Kevin Holland. And it's not because I don't like him and I didn't want him to win. I didn't have faith. And he fucking turned it around and he did it. And you know what? I really like Kevin Holland now. I really do. And I don't think he's going to be champ. And that is the reason why I like him. All right? What if I told you that one of the UFC's most active fighters isn't chasing the title at all? Kevin Holland is redefining what success in the UFC looks like. And it's not about the gold. It's not about the belt at all. We're always talking about fighters who have the mindset, okay? Who want to dominate and who are obsessed with getting the belt. But what about the fighters who take a different route? Huh? The ones who are fine about not being at the top right away, who avoid the big names, and who simply just want the paycheck. Okay? Let's take a look at the screen here. I've got a quick clip to show you. Our boy, Kevin Holland.
No, hell no. Michael Morales seems like a beast. I remember when there was a fucking thing going around about all the guys that were undefeated, and I was like, Michael Morales is like probably the biggest problem out of all of them. And I ended up getting stuck with Chimaev, and he fucked me up. So hell no. Keep me away from those undefeated guys. I want old guys, sorry guys, and easy fights. That's all I want. Those young guys, keep me the fuck away from them.
He doesn't want them. He doesn't want them. It's not too often you hear fighters talk that way. All right? You would think going into the UFC, it's all about the belt. So you want the belt. That's why you train. But we've seen Kevin Holland 3 times already in 2025, and he's a perfect example of this other type of mindset that I'm talking about. In 2018, Kevin Holland won the Dana White Contender Series, and he fought 2 more times that year. In 2019, let me just back up here. I got to get out of the way. In 2019, he fought 4 times, and in 2020, he fought 6 times, setting a record for the most fights in a year. Okay? It's pretty fucking wild. And in 2021, he fought 4 times. 2022, another 4 times. 2023, 3 fights. 2024, 3 again. And in 2025, he's already fought 3 times with another one booked already. This mic is driving me crazy, dude. Why is it all over the place? That's what I'm talking. There we go. That's the stuff. That's the ticket. Okay, we're good. Stop fucking with the mic, dude. Kevin Holland might just be the most active UFC fighter we've ever seen who doesn't give a shit about the title. Doesn't give a fuck about the title. All right, let's watch another clip.
Period.
Does it matter? Do you want a main event? Do you want 5 rounds or just whatever they give you?
No, I don't think I really need 5 rounds. It's like you guys all know Derek Lewis is my big brother, and we both preach on the same thing. Nobody wants to do extra rounds. It's like if you guys have never been to Main Street and trained, it's hot as fuck in there, and it's about to be the summertime. I don't want to do an extra 2 rounds in there. You know what I mean? It's like Bob's already gonna kill me. I don't need no more than that.
Well, Josh Van was in here, and he wants the main event against Brandon Moreno.
So he can have it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, there you go, co-main.
Yeah, I'll co-main all day. I'm a big fan of Josh Van. I mean, I like the way the kid fights.
He doesn't want it. He doesn't want. I know he's just talking about the rounds and not a title shot. But he's talking about title. He doesn't want the title yet, dude. And it's not even that he doesn't have the skills. He clearly does, and we know he does. He just told us time and time again he doesn't want 5-round fights. He doesn't want to climb that championship ladder. Why? Because he's not here for the belt. He's here for the money. That's what it is. It's about the money. It's interesting. It's interesting when you take a step back and look at it this way. The UFC is often seen as the ultimate proving ground where fighters work their entire lives to get to the top. Everyone assumes the goal is the belt, as I said, but Kevin's approach is a reminder that the UFC is also just a business. It's a business, okay? And for fighters like him and Derek Lewis, the goal isn't necessarily a title. It's just the paycheck. That's all it is. We saw when Derek Lewis said he couldn't care less about the title, and now Kevin Holland is making the same point. Kevin Holland even referencing Derek Lewis when he said he didn't want the title shot. Whoops. Put it back! Don't read my notes, dude. Stop reading my notes. Now you can look.
In that knockout, you get a title shot.
No, I ain't trying to no title shot. Hell no.
Hell no.
I want to just continue fighting like taxi cab drivers right now.
Okay.
Then we can start talking
Taxi
about
cab.
title shots.
He doesn't want it either. He wants to fight taxi cab drivers, dude. Kevin Holland was once ranked number 11 at middleweight. Did you know that? You must have. Jumping between welterweight and middleweight, but now he's focused on welterweight. And after beating Vincent Luque, he landed at number 14 in welterweight. That's ahead of MVP, who beat Kevin Holland on his UFC debut to earn his number 15 spot. Isn't that crazy? Now Kevin's eyeing Colby Covington, who's ranked number 9. Covington, who only fights once a year, is coming off 2 losses. Kevin could easily handle him and snag that number 9 spot, adding another fighter to his list of victims. Okay? So even though Kevin's not going for the title, he's rising up in those ranks and making money and fighting 4 to 6 times a year. But this is where things get interesting when you see what's happening. If Kevin does make it up the rankings, if he makes it to that number 9 spot, he could hit a point where he's just too high up to avoid 5-round wars with top guys. Muhammad, Shavkat, Brady, Edwards, Usman, Gary, Buckley, Morales. Okay? They're all 5-round fighters at the top. And we already know he doesn't want Morales, who will be right next to him at rank number 8. So there's a chance we could see Kevin Holland become the ultimate gatekeeper of the division. Now let me explain what I mean by this, okay? He'd fight only those who were trying to rise through the ranks, okay? With every fight putting them one step closer to the title shot, but they have to go through Kevin first, because Kevin doesn't want those 5-round fights. So maybe he's not going to fight higher up. He'll just stay at number 9, and whoever comes up has to clunk through Kevin in order to get to the next level. Okay? And Kevin, he'd stay right where he is, fighting 3 to 5 times a year, collecting bonuses, and living the good life in the number 9 position forever. No belt. No problem. Kevin Holland is doing things his way, showing John Jones what it really means to live your best life while being active in the UFC. Jonathan Boner Jones. And I think I've been seeing some articles on the old internet that it might be that Tom versus Cyril Gane is confirmed. We're not talking about that today, though. We're moving on to our final topic of discussion today, which is the fight coming up this weekend. Gonna be a bang-a-rang, dude. Gonna be a Krispy Kreme donut, okay? And by the way, I am making fight prediction sheets for this weekend. I've been making them pretty much every single fight this year. I don't know if I missed one. So if you want fight prediction sheets for the fights this weekend, they will be available. They are in the description. Okay? They will be there by this Friday. Click the link in the description. Why does this keep popping up? Click the link in the description. It'll take you to the Google Drive. You can download them. You can print them off. Like a bad mama jam. Okay? So let's talk about Buckley, shall we? Joaquin Buckley. Let me just see if I have clips that I need to show. Nope, I don't. That's golden, dude. Okay, Joaquin Buckley and Kamaru Usman. Kamaru Usman. He's facing Joaquin Buckley this weekend. The Nigerian Nightmare versus New Mansa. All right? When it comes to the UFC, Usman was one of the 3 main champions to come out of Africa before Dricus du Plessis came into the mix. We had Francis Ngannou, Israel Adesanya, and Kamaru Usman. The 3 kings of Africa, born and bred champions from a continent with a rich history in combat sports. I don't know if it has a rich history in combat sports, but it's definitely a continent that they're all from. Francis left the organization without ever having to face John Jones. Right in his prime. The fight we all wanted to see more than any other, but it never came to fruition. One of the biggest losses in UFC history was not getting that fight. And now we're experiencing it again with John Jones and Tom Aspinall. He loves to disappoint, my friends. But besides that, then we had Israel Adesanya, okay? After 6 title defenses and a loss to Pereira, he avenged himself by reclaiming the belt. But now, Israel is running on a 3-fight losing streak to Strickland, du Plessis, and Imavov. His reign is coming to a close. And then here we are with the final king, Kamaru Usman. After 5 title defenses, a loss to Leon twice in a row, and now with the rise of Khamzat, this might be the last chance to prove he still has some fire left in his veins. New Mansa's coming in. Buckley, that's his chosen nickname. But what does New Mansa even mean? Huh? New Mansa refers to Mansa Musa, the 14th century emperor of the Mali Empire in West Africa. Mansa Musa is regarded as one of the wealthiest and most powerful rulers in history, known for his immense gold wealth, expansive empire, and legendary pilgrimage to Mecca. The new Mansa is stepping in and taking out the remaining kings, showing the world his power and legacy in the sport, letting everyone know that the new king is here. Joaquin Buckley. The question is, what actually happens next if Joaquin does win? We already know how stacked welterweight is at the moment. The next title fight is set between JDM and Islam Makhachev, but here's where it gets interesting. We've got Sean Brady at number 2, Shavkat at number 3, and Buckley will likely get the number 5 position once he beats Kamaru Usman, and then we have Ian Gary at number 6. Okay? Let's just crunch some numbers here. All right? Now, we all want to see Shavkat get his shot at the title next, but with his surgery, who knows what's happening? It might be a little while before we even consider seeing him in the mix. It might even be until 2026. I don't know, and who knows? So let's just set him aside for now, all right? Now we've got Sean Brady at number 2 after defeating Leon. Okay? And he also set a fucking new record for the longest time controlling an opponent on the ground. He's on a 2-fight win streak with victories over Gilbert Burns and Kelvin Gastelum, which we just saw, who we just saw this past weekend. All right. So then we have Ian Gary, who's on a 1-fight win streak after beating Carlos Prates. Prior to that, he only had 1 loss on his record to Shavkat in a very close matchup, while still being undefeated and beating guys like MVP, Jeff Neal, and Magny. So if we're being practical, excuse me, if we're being practical, it would make sense to have the soon-to-be number 5 ranked Buckley face number 2 ranked Sean Brady, and the winner gets a title shot. Practically speaking, but this is the UFC. it's not just about practicality. It's about what will sell. And Buck versus Cuck, that shit's going to sell like crazy. Okay? The tension between Buckley and Gary is real. It's there. And after what Buckley said about Ian Gary being a cuck, you can bet that fight is going to draw in some major attention, my guy. And as for Sean, well, he could rematch Bilal Muhammad, get his revenge, possibly earning a win, which would put him in the number 1 contender spot and give him the next title shot after Buck versus Cuck. Now, but the thing is, all of this is contingent upon Buckley winning against Usman. Because if he doesn't, he's out of the title talk, at least for now, which would mean Ian Gary jumps right up to face Sean Brady for the title contention. And Buckley, if he loses, he could have a matchup between Leon Edwards or possibly even Michael Morales. All right? But if we look at this strategically and at the reality of the situation, Joaquin Buckley is 31 years old. He's in his prime. He's on a dominant 6-fight win streak. Usman, on the other hand, is 38 years old. He's on a 3-fight losing streak. He has nothing left to prove. So really, not only will this be the final test for Usman, but it's also one more passing of the guard in the welterweight division. A division that continues to get more and more exciting with every single fight, which is what the UFC should be. And it would be nice if every single division could be like the welterweight in that sense. So because of these factors, I'm confident Buckley will take the win and continue to push forward and make this division the best it's ever going to be, day by day, hour by hour, minute by minute. Buck by Cuck. I like how he says Usman. I'm a Usman, boy. I'm a Usman. Should be a grand old time, ladies and guys. Should be a grand kakarmike. But I guess that's it for this episode of the DynamiteGizmo Podcast. It was a shorter one, but that's okay. We don't need an hour-long episode all the time. If you'd like what you've seen and you would like to see some more, go ahead and like, comment, and most importantly, subscribe. Okay? But you don't have to do any of it. Bye!